Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor on Ag AM in Kansas. I'm your host, Conrad Cates. It is a fact that in the first half of this century, the world's population will grow to around 9 billion. Global demand for food, feed, and fiber will nearly double. Several initiatives are underway to help create solutions to feed the world in 2050. But the most important resources for this problem is people. Farmers, scientists, and more will need to help feed the world around that time. Take a look as we explore the world's youth adapting and learning to feed the future. Stay tuned.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers. This segment is brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor on Ag AM in Kansas. I'm your host, Conrad Cates. By the year 2050, the global demand for food, feed, and fiber will nearly double, and in response, the Alpha Gamma Rho fraternity of Kansas State University sponsored a Spring Ag Symposium about feeding a hungry planet with global leaders in the food system. One of the alumni was available for comment about the event.
So today was the first Spring Ag Symposium hosted by the Kansas State University Alpha Gamma Rho chapter. Alpha Gamma Rho is a little bit unique in that it's a campus-related fraternity organization where young men enrolled at K-State live together and learn some additional life skills together, but it's also a professional-oriented fraternity in the sense that members of our fraternity either come from or have some strong tie to or are studying the agriculture field. And the overall purpose of Alpha Gamma Rho is to make better men and through them a broader and better agriculture. And so this is a pretty exciting time for Alpha Gamma Rho fraternity, just as it is for agriculture in general. When we think about where are the generations of thinkers and doers going to come from, it will help us solve this long-term global food challenge. We like to think that our membership rank, the people who have come through our fraternity, who are in it today, and the brothers yet to come, are going to play an important role and should play an important role in helping meet the global food challenge.
Both education and business was present for the symposium, including representatives from Cargill, Kansas State University, and Dow AgriSciences.
So at the symposium today, we have good representation from both academia and from industry. We looked into our alumni ranks and invited representatives from Cargill and from Dow AgriSciences. Travis Hurst from Dow, John Neiman from Cargill are both K-State AGR alums and have worked their way through the ranks of some important industry players in agriculture. And we're thankful to have them here today to share some perspectives on what they've personally seen and experienced, what they have to look forward to in their careers and with their companies at large as they play their role commercially in helping with the global food challenge. And then we've also got Dr. Jason Ellis, who's a faculty member in Ag Communications and Journalism, and Dr. Alan Featherstone, who is a well-known ag economist and a graduate of a Wisconsin River Falls Alpha Gamma Rho organization. And he's been with K-State for a number of years, and we're happy to have both of them here presenting some perspectives from the research and teaching and extension side of the equation.
Alpha Gamma Rho hopes to continue this program and create a highly educational event for Midwestern youth that will in turn help create new ways of solving problems in the agricultural field.
So our vision is that this is the inaugural event that gets some momentum and some traction for us to hold a symposium like this at least every couple of years, maybe eventually every year, where we bring together different people from industry, whether they are AGR alums or not, probably won't matter eventually. Our goal here is to create a high-quality event where some positive provocation is out on the table, and where we as people who have some sort of vested interest in agriculture and how it helps with the global food problem are going to solve that challenge together and encourage our younger generations to grab that challenge by the horns, so to speak, and be a part of the solution, and perhaps give some encouragement to the younger generations, but also recognize that we as Kansans or as people from this part of the world can help not just at the local level, but have an impact on a global level to improve agriculture.
I will take action against herbicide-resistant weeds. I will know my weeds, and I will stop them before they go to seed. I will do whatever it takes to give my crops the upper hand, and I will use multiple herbicide sites of action because every action counts. I will take action, this time for all time.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor on Ag AM in Kansas. I'm your host, Conrad Cavis. Recently, the Alpha Gamma Rho fraternity of Kansas State sponsored a spring ag symposium about feeding a hungry planet with global leaders in food systems. Dr. Jason Ellis was one of the speakers at the event. He teaches courses and advises students for undergraduate and graduate programs in agriculture communications and journalism.
Yeah, I'm Jason Ellis, Associate Professor of Ag Communications and Journalism at Kansas State, and it's a pleasure to be one of the 4 focused speakers here at this inaugural agricultural symposium sponsored by Alpha Gamma Rho at Kansas State University.
Jason encouraged students that they should understand that the agriculture industry should decrease just defending their own industry and help educate all consumers regardless of background about how the world's food and fiber is produced.
One of the core messages that I had for the group today here at the symposium was how we in agriculture need to look beyond just defending our interests of agriculture, but also working with those who are seeking information about what we do and how we do it, and engaging with them in a conversation and meeting them where they are, and both in the media communications channels, social media, websites, community organizations and community groups, but also meeting them in terms of where they are from a values perspective.
The Kansas State University Department of Communications and Agriculture Education provides services within the organizations of Kansas State Research and Extension and the College of Agriculture.
I think we have multiple resources through Kansas State University that can provide agriculturalists, farmers and ranchers, or those ag enthusiasts with resources and some tips and tools and techniques for communicating. One is through our extension service, their county and state extension office. I think their agents have access to some good resources and information to help them. Another would be through our program in the Department of Communications and Agricultural Education. There's also a lot of great resources on the internet as well, and one that I would highly encourage people to check out is some information and some of the consumer research from a group called the Center for Food Integrity that's located on the internet. A simple internet search for the Center for Food Integrity would bring up a lot of good resources on background of consumer perceptions, but also has a lot of good tips for this dialogue engagement component.
From the Land of Kansas is a trademark program that helps Kansas businesses grow, produce, process, or manufacture Kansas products. Let's meet Morning Harvest Farm, nestled in the rolling hills of Harvey County. Owned and operated by Eric and Paula Sims, Morning Harvest Farm operates as naturally as possible. They use no hormones and no steroids in raising their livestock, which includes cattle, chickens, pork, and turkeys. Daily contact keeps the animals calm and leads to tender meat. The cattle are able to graze to maturity. Chickens have a portable hen house and take care of most of the pests. The eggs they lay have dark golden yolks. Fresh produce is available during the growing season. Artisan breads are available year-round. Visit www.morningharvestfarm.com for more information.
It's time, the Great Bend Farm and Ranch Expo, April 8th, 9th, and 10th in Great Bend, Kansas. See Scott Daly Horse Training all 3 days, sponsored by Beck Sunglasses. Gen X Shoot Side Demo, Friday the 10th at 1. Cutting Edge Technology for Farming Forums all 3 days, sponsored by American State Bank. Free admission, free parking. That's the Great Bend Farm and Ranch Expo, April 8th, 9th, and 10th. Go to Star Expos for more details. Corporate sponsors American Hat Company, Great Bend Co-op, and KSN.
This hog is Hanover hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
I'm Dr. Frank Lyons, a physician here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. As one of the only standalone stem cell centers in the U.S., we use your stem cells as therapy for arthritis and some autoimmune diseases.
I'm Dr. Andrew Poe. Here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center, utilizing the latest technology under strict protocols, we're able to harvest your stem cells from your own fat to treat a variety of medical conditions. The best part about it is, it's a same-day surgical procedure and requires no general anesthesia.
Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more. Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor on Ag Am in Kansas. I'm your host, Conrad Cabus. Cargill Incorporated is an American privately held multinational corporation based in Minnesota. John Nyman is with Cargill in Wichita, which plays a part in feeding the world, and spoke at the Spring Ag Symposium about feeding a hungry planet.
My name's John Neiman. I'm with Cargill out of Wichita. We're in the meat business, one of the largest privately held companies in the world, very focused on a global economy, focused on feeding the world. We are certainly in a country here in the United States of plenty, so we have lots of choices, lots of options, and we're fortunate in that sense, but we also have a huge global responsibility that we believe is critically important, that we learn how to come together to feed a hungry world, a growing world, one that'll have 9 billion people in it over the next 25 to 30 years. And it's going to take, some unity. It's going to take us talking about the real issues. It's also going to take us all making choices that might be out of what we would normally be comfortable with today. Because we have a land of plenty, but we also have a land of scarcity in some cases. We can raise a lot of meat. We can raise a lot of grain, but we also have drought issues. We have water issues, and the West Coast is dealing with those things now. We have to think through those things when we come to a global economy, because they not only affect our economy, they affect the ability to get food to people who need it on a global basis.
Cargill had humble beginnings, and their company also sympathized with Alpha Gamma Rho in producing food the right way.
Well, and Cargill is celebrating 150 years as a company this year. And we started out in Conover, Iowa as a grain elevator. And when the Cargill family started, it was about bringing service and convenience to farmers in that area that wasn't there before. And we still look at that today, but we do it on a global scale. So we operate in nearly 70 countries around the world. Our commitment is whatever the laws and rules are of those countries, we will operate within them, or we'll just choose not to do business there. But we're going to do it with integrity. We're going to do it in a mindset of working with people, because we believe that's critically important, that we understand what consumers need, we understand how to help and partner with producers, and then also with the commerce. How do we get food produced efficiently? We have, on a global basis, different climates, different regulations, and all of those things come into play in order for us to do the right things the right way when it comes to feeding this world that is very diverse in what it desires. Whether it's wanting more protein because they're moving into the middle class, or it may be that they need more of a vegetable-based or grain-based diet because of where they are geographically and what they can raise.
John and Cargill want to create transparency with consumers and paint a picture of how the American agriculture system works.
So I'm a consumer too. All of us are, and we want to know where our food comes from, and all food has a story. We've not done a great job in the industry of agriculture telling our story, and we've got a great story to tell. I own farmland. I grew up on a farm. My family ranches and farms today. We want what's best for the animals. We want what's best for the land. And that's the same thing that Cargill wants too. And we know the consumers want that, but we need to tell that story, and we need to make sure that we are collectively transparent in what we're doing, because we really shouldn't have anything to hide. Oftentimes you hear stories of things that don't go right, and they're often at an extreme, and the other 99% of the producers and companies are saying, you know what, that isn't right. So hot buttons of animal handling, environment, socioeconomic drivers, public policy, all those things come into play, and we all need to talk about them. We need to have real conversations, not just conversations of, which side of the fence you're on, but let's understand each other and let's figure out the best way to solve for more than self. Because we are fortunate in the country we're in to have lots of options, but we have a lot of people in the world that don't have options, and we have a responsibility to take care of people, especially when it comes to nourishing them and helping them thrive in their local communities.
It's time, the Great Bend Farm and Ranch Expo, April 8th, 9th, and 10th in Great Bend, Kansas. Working cattle dog demos sponsored by Farmers Bank and Trust, all 3 days. K-State speakers, over 80 acres of exhibits, cutting-edge technology. Find all of your livestock equipment needs here. That's the Great Bend Farm and Ranch Expo, April 8th, 9th, and 10th. Go to starexpos.net for more information. Corporate sponsors American Hat Company, Great Bend Co-op, and KSN.
Tarwater Farm and Home is a nearly 40-year-old local family-owned business. Clothing for work and play, seeds and feeds, boots, toys for the kids, the tools you need for around the home and farm, and a service department to keep them in top running order. It's a big store, so when you have some time, take some time to see what they have for your farm and home. Tarwater's everyday pricing is like others' sale prices. When you need it, they've got it. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
When your living depends on agriculture, you can depend on KFRM 550 AM. If you're in the southwest three-fourths of Kansas or the northern half of Oklahoma, catch us at 550 AM on the radio dial. But if that isn't you, listen on your cell phone at TuneIn Radio or on your computer at KFRM.com. We promise to keep you informed, entertained, and company as you go through your day. KFRM 550 AM, the voice of the plains. We would like to join your management team.
This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor on Ag AM in Kansas. I'm your host, Conrad Cavus. Recently, the Alpha Gamma Rho fraternity of Kansas State University sponsored a spring ag symposium about feeding a hungry planet with global food leaders in the food system. Dr. Alan Featherstone is the department head for agriculture economics and was appointed to Kansas State in 1986. His primary responsibilities have been teaching and research.
My name is Alan Featherstone, and I'm Department Head of Agricultural Economics. I'm here to essentially give a brief summarization of what I talked about. My topic was basically looking at how to feed a world of 9 billion people. Essentially, being an economist, I take a look at the supply and demand factors. There's two major demand factors that are going to drive food demand over the next 35 years. Obviously, one is population. The more mouths to feed, the more food production that is needed. The other thing with regards to population that I think people need to begin taking a look at is just the growth in population differences across the world. In terms of, a lot of times you think of going from 7 to 9 billion people, and essentially that's level across the globe, but it's very uneven across the globe. If you look at that 2 billion person increase, roughly 1 billion of those people will be in Asia, 1 billion of those people will be in Africa. And if you look at the production resources are going to mismatch very much with regards to where people are going to be. The second aspect is income, essentially looking in terms of income. There's an increasing income in different parts of the world. One of the things that people do across the world is once they have a little bit more income, they begin to diversify their diet, whether or not that be livestock and meat protein, or whether or not that be fruits and vegetables. And so those two aspects create the demand side. In terms of looking at the supply side basically can also be kind of broken down into two issues. One of those essentially is going to be need for additional land. The other aspect is going to be the need for increased technology. If you look at the aspect with land, essentially since 2007, the total amount of arable land in the world has increased actually by 1.2%. And so the idea there that we're not creating new land to bring into production is just not supported by the facts. If you look at some of the projections, the aspect is we need to increase our global land by about 7%. If you look at the possibility in Brazil alone, they could end up increasing their land mass and completely meet the 7% without doing much environmental damage. One of the things they may end up doing is converting pasture to cropland. When you think about pasture, it's not what you typically think about in Kansas, where it's kind of wasteland. Essentially, it's more like Illinois and Iowa, where if you go back in the 1950s, there was a lot of pasture land there, and a lot of that has been converted in an environmentally sustainable way. And so certainly that's a possibility. The other aspect is with regards to technology. In terms of one of the things that I took a look at was the change in technology yields in corn, wheat, soybeans, and rice over the last 60 years, 50 years, and then looked at the 20 years. But in terms of looking at those numbers, one of the things you can end up seeing is that in order to meet cereal production needs of an increase in 42%, essentially from productivity alone, if we can continue what we've done the last 20 years, we're looking at about a 50% increase in wheat yields and about a doubling of corn yields. And again, if you kind of think about that, maybe an average yield is 150 bushel in Kansas, that would be 300 bushel yields by 2050. That sounds like a pretty high number until you think back that we just set a record for commercial production last year of in excess of 500 bushel an acre. And so the technology is there. It's just basically getting the nutrients, the water to the crop in a more economic manner.
Thank you for watching this episode of Farm Factor about feeding the future. For more of Farm Factor, or if you want to view this episode again, visit us on www.agaminkansas.com. Or you can like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. So have a good day with good luck.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.